Syndicalism is a type of proposed economic system, a form of socialism, considered a replacement for capitalism. It suggests that industries be organized into confederations or syndicates. It is a system of economic organization in which industries are owned and managed by the workers. Its theory and practice is the advocation of multiple cooperative productive units composed of specialists and representatives of workers in each respective field to negotiate and manage the economy. Syndicalism also refers to the political movement and tactics used to bring about this type of system. For adherents, labor unions and labor training are the potential means of both overcoming economic aristocracy and running society fairly and in the interest of informed and skilled majorities, through union democracy. Industry in a syndicalist system would be run through cooperative confederations and mutual aid. Local syndicates would communicate with other syndicates through the Bourse du Travail, which would cooperatively determine distributions of commodities. Syndicalism is also used to refer to the tactic of bringing about this social arrangement, typically expounded by Anarcho-Syndicalism and Delanism. It aims to achieve a general strike, a workers' outward refusal of their current modes of production, followed by organization into federations of trade unions, such as the CNT. Throughout its history, the reformist section of syndicalism has been overshadowed by its revolutionary section, typified by the Federacia Cubana Anarquista y Copyright Rica section of the CNT. Syndicalism and Anarcho-Syndicalism. Syndicalism can be accurately divided into the purely economic-focused camp, exemplified by the Italian USI, taking both political and economic action, wishing to take control of both workplace and political life, while syndicalism has traditionally focused on the economic sector alone. Although the terms anarcho-syndicalism and revolutionary syndicalism are often used interchangeably, the anarcho-syndicalist label was not widely used until the early 1920s. The term anarcho-syndicalist only came into wide use in 1921 to 1922 when it was applied polemically as a pejorative term by communists to any syndicalists who opposed increased control of syndicalism by the communist parties. Traditionally, the revolutionary political syndicalism of figures such as Rudolf Rocker has overshadowed the more reformist or economically focused syndicalism. Related theories include anarchism, socialism, Marxism, Leninism, and communism. History. Syndicalism. Syndicalismo is a French-Spanish word meaning trade unionism. More moderate versions of syndicalism were overshadowed in the early 20th century by revolutionary anarcho-syndicalism, which advocated, in addition to the abolition of capitalism, the abolition of the state, which was expected to be made obsolete by syndicalist economics. Anarcho-syndicalism was most powerful in Spain and around the time of the Spanish Civil War, but also appeared in other parts of the world, such as in the US-based Industrial Workers of the World and the Union Sindacale Italiana, the Italian Syndicalist Union. The earliest expressions of syndicalist structure and methods were formulated in the International Workingmen's Association or First International, particularly in the Jura Federation. In 1895, the Confar Copyright d'Art Copyright Rashingar Copyright Na Copyright Rail du Travail in France expressed fully the organizational structure and methods of revolutionary syndicalism influencing labor movements the world over. The CGT was modeled on the development of the Bourse du Travail, a workers' central organization which would encourage self-education and mutual aid, and facilitate communication with local workers' syndicates. Through a general strike, workers would take control of industry and services and self-manage society and facilitate production and consumption through the labor exchanges. The Charter of Amiens, adopted by the CGT in 1906, represents a key text in the development of revolutionary syndicalism, rejecting parliamentarianism and political action in favor of revolutionary class struggle. The Central Organization of the Workers of Sweden, formed in 1910, are a notable example of an anarcho-syndicalist union influenced by the CGT. Today, the SAC is one of the largest anarcho-syndicalist unions in the world in proportion to the population, with some strongholds in the public sector. The International Workers' Association, formed in 1922, is an international syndicalist federation of various labor unions from different countries. At its peak, The International Workers' Association represented millions of workers and competed directly for the hearts and minds of the working class with social democratic unions and parties. The Spanish Confederación Nacional del Trabajo played a major role in the Spanish labor movement. It was also a decisive force in the Spanish Civil War, organizing worker militias and facilitating the collectivization of vast sections of the industrial, logistical, and communications infrastructure, principally in Catalonia. Another Spanish anarcho-syndicalist union, the Confederación General del Trabajo de España plus or minus a, is now the fourth largest union in Spain and the largest anarchist union with tens of thousands of members. The industrial workers of the world, although explicitly not syndicalist, were informed by developments in the broader revolutionary syndicalist milieu at the turn of the 20th century. At its founding Congress in 1905, influential members with strong anarchist or anarcho-syndicalist sympathies like Thomas J. Hagerty, William Trautmann, and Lucy Parsons contributed to the union's overall revolutionary syndicalist orientation. Lucy Parsons, in particular, was a veteran anarchist union organizer in Chicago from a previous generation, having participated in the struggle for the 8-hour day in Chicago and subsequent series of events which came to be known as the Haymarket Affair in 1886. An emphasis on industrial organization was a distinguishing feature of syndicalism when it began to be identified as a distinct current at the beginning of the 20th century. Due to a still tangible faith in the viability of the state socialist system, most socialist groups of that period emphasized the importance of political action through party organizations as a means of bringing about socialism. In syndicalism, trade unions are thus seen as simply a stepping stone to common ownership. Although all syndicalists emphasize industrial organization, not all reject political action altogether. For example, Delenists and some other industrial unionists advocate parallel organization both politically and industrially, while recognizing that trade unions are at a comparable disadvantage due to the lobby of business groups on political leaders. Syndicalism would historically gain most of his support in Italy, France and particularly Spain, where the anarcho-syndicalist revolution during the Spanish Civil War resulted in the widespread implementation of anarchist and more broadly socialist organizational principles throughout various portions of the country for 2 to 3 years, primarily Catalonia, Aragon, Andalusia, and parts of the Levante. Much of Spain's economy was put under worker control. In anarchist strongholds like Catalonia, a figure was as high as 75%. Their eventual defeat and World War II led to the formerly prominent theory being repressed, as the three nations where it had the most power were now under fascist control. Support for syndicalism never fully recovered to the height it enjoyed in the early 20th century. See also. Footnotes. Further reading, Melvin Dubofsky, We Shall Be All, A History of the Industrial Workers of the World, Quadrangle Books, 1969. William Z. Foster, The Socialist and Syndicalist Movements in France, Industrial Worker, Volume 3, No. 1, Whole 105, pages 1, 4. William Z. Foster, Syndicalism, Chicago, 1913. Lenny Flank, IWW, A Documentary History, St. Petersburg, Florida, Red and Black Publishers, 2007. Dan Jakopovich, Revolutionary Unionism, Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, New Politics, Volume 11, No. 3. James Joel, The Anarchists, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Harvard University Press, 1980. Emmanuel Ness, New Forms of Worker Organization, The Syndicalist and Autonomist Restoration of Class Struggle Unionism, PM Press, 2014. ISBN 1604869569, James O'Neill, Sabotage, or, Socialism vs. Syndicalism. St. Louis, Missouri, National Ripsaw, 1913. David D. Robert, The Syndicalist Tradition and Italian Fascism, University of North Carolina Press, 1979. Rudolf Rocker, Anarcho-Syndicalism, Theory and Practice, London, 1938. AK Press, 2004. J. Solwyn Shapiro, Liberalism and the Challenge of Fascism, Social Forces in England and France, New York, McGraw-Hill Book Colorado, 1949. Lucien van der Walt and Michael Schmidt, Black Flame, The Revolutionary Class Politics of Anarchism and Syndicalism, AK Press, 2009. External links, The Association for Union Democracy, Anarcho-Syndicalism.net, Rudolf Rocker, a major proponent of anarcho-syndicalism, General Strikes, maps with locations where strikes have occurred. Includes resource links, Small History of the UGT in Catalonia. Workers at the center of Matara cubed in the 1888 Congress of the C/Taules de Barcelona was born. The UGT under the socialist ideals of people like Pablo Iglesias, Raúl Toribio, Salvador Ferrer, and many others in the problems that the workers had of that century. Syndicalism's Lessons. Socialist Worker, April 22, 2015.